Will the real JP please stand up?
Yeah. Please stand up. Please stand up.
Don't even play 5 seconds of that song, JP, because everyone knows what we're referencing, and we can't put you to work this early into us being back. But you do have bleached hair.
I do. I bleached it.
Is that? I'm not gonna say midlife crisis stuff, but is that just like post vasectomy crisis?
Like it was that. Well, yes, it was post.
Were you under the influence of your vasectomial experience when you chose to bleach your hair?
So when we had our second, Penelope, my wife decided she's been brunette her whole life, and she's like, I'm going blonde, and I'm like, dope. Let's see how it looks. Let's do it. And she went like really blonde. I mean, blonder than I am. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, you're just, a new mom or second time mom. You got your super blonde hair. You get to do whatever you want. And here I am slaving away on my computer. And so this time, like about a little over a month ago, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, you got to do something fun with your hair last time we had a kid. Now we have another kid. She's almost 3 months old. I'm going to get my hair bleached. And to my surprise, my wife's like, you should do it. So I went with it. And I did it, and I love it. Actually, it's fun. I mean, like, the last time I did something fun with my hair, I don't know. I mean, it's been buzzed for like 5+ years.
You had a faux hawk. At a certain time.
There was a faux hawk moment that was like an almost mohawk moment. Yeah, you're right. That was probably 2009.
What about the time when you used super glue to make your hair look like the lead singer of Sum 41?
Yeah.
And one really early morning at the emergency room to get the super glue out.
That was last week.
I have to say, I am inspired. It makes me want to do something fun with my hair now.
Got
nothing to lose.
The hairstylist who cuts my hair is like primarily a colorist, so like most of her hair appointments are like 8 hours long. I'm the only dingbat who needs like 15-20 minutes, whatever. And every single time I'm convinced, like, let's put some blue in it. Let's like put some purple in it. Like, do something crazy. And I haven't pulled the trigger on it.
Now you should.
But
at least
someday I will. Like, why not? Like, what if I just showed up one day with blue hair? Like, what's gonna happen?
Nothing. That's why I bleached mine.
Yeah.
They'll come take my house away. That's a real thing.
Sir, you don't look responsible enough to have a mortgage. You're vetoing this mortgage.
Every check just starts bouncing.
Yeah, they rip it up right in front of your face.
No, like
we know this isn't good.
See, it's like, that's not you.
We were sent from the bank, but that blue hair is immediate signs of irresponsibility.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, I'll do it.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
We should all bleach our hair.
Yeah, I want to put color in mine.
You have to bleach it first, though.
Yeah, for sure. I would do something crazy like
orange
pink hair. What about pink? Well, I don't know about maybe.
I want like a super Irish.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah. A streak of pink and bleach. Pink.
Right.
Yeah.
You would look like such a soccer player if you had any color in your hair. Like, for sure. You already kind of have that look. You would for sure.
You need the length. That was Terry and I. We don't have the length.
More. Yeah.
See, mine is.
Yeah.
If you colored your hair and then landed in London the next day, people would be like, "When did you play for West Ham?"
Oi! Yeah, I got these dope Jordan 1s. They're black, but then they're like sort of this light blue and orange, and it doesn't sound like it would go together. And it does sound like it would look like Florida colors, but it doesn't. And if I had a blue streak and an orange streak in my hair, I could rock those Jordan 1s with them.
You really just wanted to bring up Florida so that you could dunk on the new uniforms with like
so bad
the gray Gator scale. Do we call that Gator scale?
Gator scale? No, it doesn't work.
It does not work. It doesn't work. We really that Vegas Bowl loss really is really messing with Florida.
Oh, they're so shook.
Yeah. Right. Which is like, it's a Jordan brand school that has had some of the most classic uniforms that have been mostly unchanged through their whole era. There's the usual sort of secondary or tertiary one that they throw in there, but they're usually done pretty well. They pull off blue and orange, great, which is not an easy combination to pull off. And they
I
have that
agree.
nice little that gator badge that's on the front of the jersey. I've always fucked with Florida's uniforms.
Yeah.
And this this thing that we saw on Twitter today, I believe the kids are saying, are the kids still saying this ain't it? Whether they're saying it or not, it ain't it, Florida.
It's not.
If that's not acceptable terminology, I propose to replace that with these are mid AF and anything else that means bad, because that's what they are.
Anytime you try to use the texture of your mascot on a jersey, it's bound to fail.
What about when you use the colors of your mascot's feet that also are the colors of your rival?
Yeah, or dressed up like Cal.
Those
Just have Cal colors.
Those were my favorite Oregon jerseys, the ones that had orange in them. If I had to pick one, I am going to pick the one with orange in them.
That's true. Yeah. Easy choice.
What if we did that? We would just have to rock like beaver fur on the jerseys, and we might pick up some fans in the furry community.
Oh,
yeah, like that border collie man. Have you guys seen that?
Build the dam, build the brand.
Wow.
Or we could have the material resemble the tail of a beaver, which would be leather, and then we could have members of the leather community as well.
Oh, or PETA all over us. But did you guys see the man who's living as a border collie? He spent $20,000 to design this custom border collie suit.
What?
Yeah. So this okay. So this man in Japan had always wanted to live. He thought about living as a dog. So like since he said he was a child, he said he always said I want to grow up being a dog. Which honestly, when you're a child, and especially if you have a dog, what kid doesn't want to grow up being a dog? You go to school and you see your dog like sleeping on the ground, and you're like, ugh, what a life. You're so lucky. You don't do anything. You just get fed and you just lay there and you just chill and get pet. So this guy spent $14,000 on a custom-made collie costume that he finally wore in public on a walk.
Was he being walked?
Or was
he was being
himself?
walked.
Oh.
Yo, you guys didn't see this? I got to share this. This is him.
Love your reaction. Oh my God! No, get that off.
Whoa, that's him.
I can see how it's a man, but holy shit, that's convincing.
You can see that's a man.
I can. I look in that one for sure too. That wide shot. Like if JP hadn't told me, I wouldn't believe it. But
this one definitely says it says I'm human.
I'm human.
Yeah, but you could just put that next to a border collie.
I'm gonna start doing that to my dog just to freak people out.
Oh, dude,
I'm gonna walk my dog
attacked.
with the sign hanging off of her collar that says "I'm human," just to see the reaction of people on Alberta Street.
Oh man.
Well,
so good.
Toko is the name
Toko,
of
yeah.
Is it
I feel like Taco is kind of a cooler name, but Toko's okay.
Well, whatever. Good for you, Toko. JP, please stop sharing your screen. It's distracting me now. all those New York Post ads. All right. Well, welcome back to the Belligerent Beavs Podcast.
Yes.
We took 1 week off earlier in the summer so that we all could hang out together and go to baseball games and play mountain ball, and decided to take that week off. Then we came back for a month, did our 100th episode. Shout out to everyone who tuned in live on YouTube and has listened to the show since. And then we took,
which has been honestly staggering. I can't believe there's still people.
It's crazy.
Listening.
It's
Are
crazy.
you guys catching up?
Why are
I
you
hope you're
listening?
caught up now.
If you would know someone who's about to listen to the episode, tell them to stop and do anything else. But no, we appreciate the support. And then we took a month and a half off. So after this episode, we're going to take like 8 weeks off. Just kidding. We're not going to miss football season. I do think this will be we've got some stuff to get to tonight, but we had some business to take care of over the summer. JP needed to bleach his hair for medical reasons, and he has now done so. I did not find Jack Harlow in the streets of Los Angeles, so I still have not gotten to challenge him to a battle rap and win, as I would.
That's because he's running from you.
He's running.
We
don't know that
he's shook
not.
too.
Yeah.
Every moment that Jack Harlow and I are not in the same room together, we can't prove that he's not running from me.
Did Jack Harlow go to Florida?
I don't know.
He might have. He looks like someone that should have gone to Florida.
Right. It's kind of surprising that Jack Harlow didn't have a cameo in Barbie. That also feels like something he'd do.
Doesn't Jack Harlow look like he could be the handsome brother of Post Malone?
Yes.
That's not hard to be more handsome than Post Malone. Sorry, Post.
Post Malone is a better rapper than Jack Harlow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Kind of.
We probably need to have a white rapper episode. Would it be? I thought about this the other day. I was thinking about, even though we took most of the summer off, so most of our summer nonsense content we don't have time for, because by the time this episode's up, it will be August. And while there's not an Oregon State game in August, college football will be played in August.
Oh, so close.
We're so close. We're so close. There's obviously some news to get to. Our homies in Colorado are making disappointing decisions, but also our homies in charge of all of the Pac-12 institutions are making disappointing indecisions.
Yep.
But in the meantime, games will be played, podcasts will be made, and debauchery and belligerence will be had by all. But one of the ideas I was thinking is, would it be too white for a podcast that's already pretty white already to have a white rapper draft?
Well, isn't there one winner?
Yeah, I think you exclude that person.
Whoever has the first pick wins, essentially. But also, it's just a way, like, say we get 5 picks each, it's just a way for us to make fun of 15 different white rappers. I feel like we need to bring back the Patreon content with that draft.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe for
Can I
later
draft you,
in the
Terry?
month. Absolutely. All of us are available. The pool is unlimited. There may need to be a DNA test to prove the whiteness in some cases, but I don't know if anyone's throwing the challenge flag on the three of us. We can all draft each other.
That make me feel good.
So if you have not joined the Patreon yet, and we haven't really been pimping out the Patreon lately, but we should again, and we will again.
We haven't had any episodes lately.
And we haven't done anything lately. We've been, Benny was the drip system coordinator for the Eras tour, and JP was on a darkness retreat with Bernice Beaver. We've been busy.
Yeah. It was so dark, all the melatonin in my hair disappeared.
But yes. But it's good to be back. It's great to be back. We're planning to be back weekly. Football season's starting. All other fall sports are starting. We're excited about men's soccer, about women's soccer. Football team obviously has a big season coming up with expectations higher than they've ever been. And we'll be getting into that. But I have a couple questions for you guys. Number one, it's not a question, but it's so fucking good to see you both.
It's so good to see you guys. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
Do I answer this in a question? I just did. That was a question.
And it's great. And I also missed you, JP. But I'm curious. So right now, we're recording this on Sunday, July 30th. So the biggest pop culture moment of the summer is that Barbie and Oppenheimer are both out right now. Some people are doing the Barbenheimer double feature by seeing both movies in the same sort of movie-going outing. I have, at this point, seen both, and I liked both, but I did not do it in one sitting. That is too long to be at the movies for anything. But have you guys seen one or the other?
I haven't seen either one, but all the fragile white men being mad at Barbie makes me really want to go see Barbie.
It is very funny, and also in a way that I'm like, I don't understand how anyone can be mad at something this silly. It's like getting mad at a podcast with belligerent in the title. I don't get it. Thankfully, no one ever does that.
Yeah, some people just want to be mad. So
right,
yeah.
JP, I know you've had a couple things weighing you down. Wink, wink. Have you made it to the movies at all?
No, I've barely been in my house.
We won't air too much of
HIPAA,
JP's
man.
personal
HIPAA.
life. But JP was in the hospital for longer than you want to be in the hospital. You're good now.
I'm good now.
Your hair, your eyes, and your smile are all shining.
Well, I have to say the worst part, honestly, was I bleached my hair, and then the next day went to the hospital for far too long. That felt very wasteful for this very awesome hair dye job.
Oh.
No one got to see, but a bunch of nurses and honestly, I think they
thought you were about to say. So
the
the doctors were judging me. Like
they were. I
can guarantee you they've seen worse.
This kid's not going to pay his bills.
I show up at the
could your dad come, son, and explain to us what's wrong with you?
I show up at the ER after midnight, and I'm like bleached hair, sitting there by myself, being like, okay, I don't even know why I'm here. Like urgent care just said I should go here. So I just felt like everyone's staring at me like this guy is like, druggy on the loose or something. I just felt like there was some sort of like shame that was being brought upon me by their assumptive nature of
Druggy on the Loose is the name of your first rap album, which you released in 2008 in the Sinister Corvallis.
And then as soon as I got in the gown, then I really felt weird. I felt like totally not like myself because I've never had a hospital stay before, and I've definitely never had bleached hair before. It was very out of body.
a couple of firsts this summer. A year of, I bet you JP's summer firsts are more unique than your summer firsts.
That's funny.
Wait, I never saw Barbie or Oppenheimer, so I think bad timing that I bleached my hair right as Barbie came out because I did realize that Ken's hair is also bleached.
Oh, that's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosling is blonde AF in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. He took my idea.
Which one did you like better?
I mean, I think Oppenheimer is probably the better movie. I think it's probably like leaving both of them. I'm glad I saw that. The chances I ever watch either again are probably pretty slim. And that doesn't mean they're not enjoyable. It's just to rewatch a 3-hour movie is pretty ridiculous. It needs to be damn good. Exciting thing that happened for me this week: the couch that I ordered on Memorial Day finally got delivered. So my house is now is I can host even more people now. When you guys were here, I had that tiny couch that was from my apartment. I finally have a sectional in there. So I was logging some quality couch time, to break in the different spots.
Oh yeah!
And wow, how are you breaking them in?
Through various activities, mostly watching movies. With not bleached hair though, so that doesn't get the whole job done. So I'm just looking at movies available on Prime, and like Gladiator just pops up. I fucking love Gladiator. They're making a sequel that's coming out next year. Actually, this is news to me. Gladiator came out in 2000, great year. And Gladiator is a 2.5-hour movie, and I think it's an almost perfect movie. And even Gladiator feels long. The Oppenheimer is 3 hours of mostly men talking, and most of the men talking is about shit I don't understand.
That's like 2 of our episodes.
It's all of our episodes. Shit that's incomprehensible for way different reasons. It's way more bigger. But like Oppenheimer, it's a great story and it's super well done. Like I love Christopher Nolan, but I'm just like, what is the circumstance ever that I like rewatch this, especially at home? I didn't see it in IMAX, and I did hear that people who saw IMAX and then also saw it regular, like IMAX really adds something to it, just because of like the verticality of some of the shots.
So the next Belligerent Beavs Live is going to be on IMAX, and it's going to be Bebeheimer.
Bebeheimer. Let's go. I love it. That's the name of the episode. That's the name of the podcast from now on.
Hey, we're all going to be in Vegas in October where they have that sphere. I don't know what that's not.
Can we get on the sphere? No
we should get on the sphere.
That's going to be so expensive. We'd actually have to like.
They could put my eyeball on the sphere.
What are you talking about? They're going to pay us to do it. We're the Belligerent Beavs.
Oh, yeah.
8 billion listeners.
Like, do you remember what we did to Florida?
we got
Yeah.
we had a dip in listeners just last week because everyone was seeing Barbenheimer. That's the only reason why. If it's a tie, if I can't say tie, I'd probably say Barbie. Like if you have to choose, whatever, go see Barbie first, and then just be a little bit more intentional about when and where you see Oppenheimer. But you kind of, especially with 3 children and a psycho dog at home, JP probably needs a little bit more time for scheduling it.
Or watch at home.
But I feel like Yuri would love Oppenheimer. Andy probably would too. It's a lot. It's very good though. But Barbie's just a little bit more fun. And I don't know when the last time you guys went to the movies was. I don't think I'd been to my neighborhood theater since pre-COVID. I have seen a movie or two since COVID, but not many. And just like the chance to go back to that theater for 2 different movies. And a lot of people, when I saw Oppenheimer, it was over the weekend at night, and a shitload of people were seeing both Oppenheimer and Barbie. So that was like kind of a fun, just sort of like society thing where it's like, oh, we're like sort of the us back in public together since COVID. Those moments have kind of already happened, but they haven't happened for me like at the movies since COVID. So that was like a fun thing to be a part of, and have it to be multiple movies that people were stoked about. The line outside the movie theater was crazy for people who had already bought their tickets, and also people trying to buy tickets. And there was one poor guy like stuck in between my group and another group being like, I just wanted to see Asteroid City. Why am I caught in the middle of all of this shit? Maybe not the best timing for Mission Impossible 7 to come out, which it did. And I heard it also slaps, but it's just getting no coverage. I was like, wait, they've made 7 Mission Impossibles? The last one I saw, I think, was Mission Impossible 2. But yeah, so
great soundtrack.
The Mission Impossible franchise, I think, is trying to catch the Fast franchise.
Oh, no.
What are they on? 10?
They just released 10. And it was not called Fast 10 Your Seatbelts. And I'm really, really mad about
it. You know what else makes me mad? That's a good point. I don't think Aqua had any presence in the Barbie movie at all, whether by song or by appearance, which is honestly the biggest travesty of the summer.
There's a song. There are a couple songs in the Barbie movie, and one of them is an absolute banger. And
wait, but I got it. Before you go there,
I'm not going to request it. I'm not going to request it.
I'm going to play this as a 5 seconds for everyone else, but for everyone here can hear it more than 5 seconds. So this is a weird hybrid new 100th and first episode ask of JP. Please play the whole song for us.
Live seconds.
But a 5-second version for the audience of Johnny Cash AI singing Barbie Girl.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right, here it comes.
Oh, come on, Barbie, let's go party.
This is good.
In a Barbie world.
Wow.
And then he switches up. Actually, you know what he does? I'm going to do this again, and this is just going to be a surprise one for the listeners.
Yeah. It's a party in the USA.
Anyway, so yeah, AI is pretty insane. It also freaks me out quite a bit.
It's probably advanced so much since the last time that we all talked.
Yeah, we can't even really verify that we're all the ones talking.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I also love the beer segment.
Me too. It's everyone's favorite segment.
I haven't had a beer in 6 weeks because I've just been waiting for the beer segment to come back. The Reagan beers segment, if you will.
Shout out Reagan.
I'll absolutely shout out Reagan. I'll start us off tonight. A beer that I've almost certainly had before on the podcast, but I've got a crowler of it tonight. Hey, It's July. It's fun. It's summer. And that is Fair State Brewing, the brewery that's within spitting distance of my place. Crankin' Foamers.
Prove it.
Apparently. Terry, come on, man. Crankin' Foamers, which is, I guess, beer brewers speak, whatever, for just crushing beers. And it's just a very drinkable lager for the summertime. Go out on the lake, crank a few foamers. I floated a river yesterday. Felt like old times. I don't think I'd floated down a river since Corvallis, probably, when those beautiful Corvallis summers filled with the Willamette River float, and JP's secret route that took like 6 hours to finish.
Yeah.
Getting 2 sandwiches from New World Deli, Old New World Deli. No, it was always smart, but the second sandwich would always be soaked because you'd put it at like the bottom of the cooler, and we'd have the first sandwich, and then 3 hours later, it's like, why is the sandwich soggy?
Yeah.
I preferred.
And the beers are warm. We should put them in the river.
The more typical Corvallis float, I think, took about 52 minutes, or the length of about 68% of a Belligerent Beavs episode. So I think that is the preferred route. But I had a few of these in my cooler that was floating along the river with me, and it reminded me of you guys. It reminded me of old times. Cranking foamers.
We should do that again.
Brewing.
The
Still
whole
nothing like Corvallis nights. Nope. Don't play 5 seconds of that. We just did it.
That's for the White Rapper episode.
That's for the White Rapper episode. That's only on Patreon. Only on Patreon. Yes, Cranking Foamers. Shout out Fair State Brewing Company. I also have a barrel of Fair State, not actual beer, but an empty barrel that's been repurposed as a bar cart in my garage. So we love it.
How does that work? Wouldn't everything fall off the side, fall off the top to the side?
No, that part's smoothed out, and there's like a shelf in the middle of it.
What about from the window to the wall? How do you handle that part?
From the window to the wall. Well, to the sweat drops off. I swear so much on this. Why did I just edit out balls?
I was gonna say.
It's a new century's worth of episodes. This is 101. We're back to 01. This is the Jaquiz Rogers episode. It's a more family-friendly show. Terry won't say balls on the show anymore. Anyway, all right, JP, you say things about beers now.
I have I've had this before, but I had it about 2 years ago for the first time, and maybe the only time. But I picked it up specifically because of my recent experiences. But it is a Great Ocean sour, and when life gives you lemons, you make pink lemonade. So
there you go.
I'm drinking a pink lemonade fruited sour from Great Ocean, and like I feel like I gave it a very unfair rating last time. I gave it a 3.8. That was August of 2021. I rated it at a Holiday Inn Express. So I don't really know where I was. It must have been driving. You were
in a tough place.
Yeah, seriously.
Literally.
And I would definitely give it higher than that now. I'd probably give it a 4. It's essentially the exact flavor as pink lemonade, but alcoholic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe you can trust your palate a little bit. Maybe the beer itself has improved over those 2 years too.
It's true.
Is it nice and sour pink lemonade, or is it like
it's got the little bitey tart? No, it's got a little, nice. You know, at the end, like especially if you have a pink lemonade, you're kind of like, ooh, it's sweet, and you're like, I can kind of taste the tart sourness at the end. Nails it.
I smoked pot with bitey tart. He's Jamie Tart's cousin. Dope. Well, awesome. I'm happy to hear the increased score. You're back then. You were in a Holiday Inn Express. You're not in a Holiday Inn Express anymore. You didn't have bleached hair then. You have bleached hair now, and maybe Great Ocean's a great brewery, but their product can still improve over time. So happy to hear that Untapped rating go from a 3.8 to a 4.
Was that a joint lighter?
It was. I saw that.
It looks like a banana peel.
It is a yellow big lighter. I don't have a joint with me, sadly. This was just lighting my North Shore scented candle. It's keeping me company.
Wow.
Ooh.
Let's see. This is the first open. No, I was about to say first open flame at the Belligerent Beavs podcast, but then I remembered Benny's on this podcast, and there have been many open flames.
This is the 101st open flame.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, Benny, let's go to you.
That's a good segue.
That's a good segue. I am high as shit.
I recently tried the little vape pens, the little weed vape pens. And I would have it down here, but Yuri said that I looked like a glassy-eyed Larry 15 minutes before the episode. I'm not partaking in that right now. I would not be much contribution to this episode if I did.
Did she forget this is a podcast for your ears and not for your eyes? No one would know if you're glossy-eyed or not.
Yeah, but no one would be hearing me because I would be in a very quiet state. So it would be a bad podcast on my end all the way
We
around.
have shit to spill, man. We've got
We
things
do.
to discuss.
We have shit to spill. We've got shit to say. And that brings us into today's top news segment. We typically sort of divide the podcast by sport. And I guess this technically would fall under football because football is the money driver that we all know and is the most has been impacted the most by these issues. But first of all, we even thought about doing an emergency episode. JP kind of predicted we would not need to do an emergency episode. It's honestly kind of shameful that an emergency episode was not needed, that we took more than 6 weeks off. We said we would do an emergency episode if a Pac-12 media rights deal got announced. That still hasn't happened.
Yeah. We're true to our word.
And Colorado's leaving for the Big 12 reportedly. And
No, officially. They voted on it. Yeah.
And
Quickly.
we thought about having an episode reacting to it. That was 3 days ago. There hasn't been much more news. And we can all share. I think we all kind of. I think the three of us are pretty aligned here, and I think most of Beaver Nation is probably, maybe not. I don't want to speak for everyone, but it's like I don't think anyone is that worried about Colorado, and I don't even mean this to like throw shade at Colorado fans who are caught in the. Obviously, no fans get to vote on this, so Colorado fans who are thinking like, oh, like Colorado was in the Big 12 for a very long time before them and Utah came over and made it the Pac-12. I don't fault anyone for thinking that Colorado is going back to where they were. If the university thinks it's a better fit for them, that's fine, because I don't think Colorado itself, other than we really like Boulder, Colorado is a fun place to go. I don't know that it ever moved the needle much for the conference. So losing them, if it's just losing Colorado, go back to last summer before we know USC and UCLA are leaving. Colorado going back to the Big 12 probably wouldn't even make a segment on our show. We'd maybe mention it and make fun of them and be like, oh, God damn it, thought we were going to get to have Coach Prime for the 3 years that he's in Colorado before he moves on to what's next. It's just a sign that the university presidents and the Pac-12 leadership are just not aligned and don't have an organized strategy right now, or they do and they're just completely not in agreement on it. So I think it's a bad sign that can be flipped and good things can still happen, but it just makes it seem like this deal that was supposed to be announced in March during lousy March weather, and now we're 4 months after that and it's hot as shit outside and we still don't know what's coming. It can't be great, but also I'm not, thinking end of the world type stuff right now, but I want to hear from you guys and just what your thoughts are and what's going through your head.
My thoughts around Colorado are interesting. I think when they joined the conference, it was a failed coup to really become the first super conference, and they were the remnants. I don't really think Colorado was what excited anybody about that initial Pac-16 super conference when the initial expansion happened. I mean, we were maybe at the forefront of expansion before everything fell through. So
remind listeners what the Pac-16 proposal was.
It was.
I don't think that's super fresh in everyone's mind.
Was it Texas, Oklahoma State, Utah, Colorado, and Texas Tech? It was somebody else.
I think it was Tech.
Yeah,
So-
that sounds right.
On top of the Pac-10.
Right.
And
this was proposed in like 2007.
and it was moving forward.
Yeah.
It was like done until the 11th hour. Everyone else fell out. And the Pac-12, Pac-10 kind of scrambled to save face in expansion and said, well, we're still taking Utah and Colorado.
It was the Longhorn Network. Texas came up with the Longhorn Network, and that's what caused them to back out.
That was the first domino. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
right.
Good call out. But either way, it never felt like an organic fit. I do love Boulder. I love Colorado. To be honest, I thought I've visited that campus. It is a great university. It's got a great feel and vibe and a lot of history. And it was nice. It was a nice addition to the pack.
Right.
It wasn't a necessary addition. Honestly,
just to jump in real quick, but like when conferences do things like this, it says like we have now captured the Denver market, which was never the coup that it got. Like there are Colorado fans everywhere, but it's like you don't capture the Denver market by merely adding Colorado to your conference. So it was never that coup, other than for like people who like want to travel to college campuses and like experience Boulder, which is us, but it's obviously not everyone.
Yeah.
And that's more just like
that was the biggest plus side, to be honest. I mean, everything else that Colorado did bring to the Pac-12, I don't want to shit on them because I do really like them, but what they brought to the Pac-12 pretty much everywhere else, from academics to research to athletics, didn't move the needle in any way possible. And the loss in that regard isn't very big. On a personal level, I'm kind of bummed to not be able to see firsthand how Coach Prime era plays out. Because I mean, we'll get a year of it, and we'll get the first year, which is probably the most important year given how he's treated this offseason. But I was really excited to see what will happen. Is this good? Is his way gonna like just turn this program upside down and start to become a perennial winner again, or are we looking at another like, oh shit, he kind of resurrected Boulder, now he's off to the next big thing, right? I wanted to sit there and see that firsthand, and I feel kind of gypped that I'm not going to be able to have that now. I also can't help but imagine that Dion didn't reach out to his friends at the networks and kind of gauge what should we do here. The man. I know it's not up to just a football coach.
Right.
But I think that Prime and his place at Boulder is very, very different than the standard first-year college football coach at a university. I don't think he has a final say by any means, but I guarantee you those conversations are happening. He is a direct line to both Fox and ESPN and can clearly get the answers he wants to feed to the administration that needs to know the right answer at a critical juncture. Maybe that didn't happen. Maybe it did, but
didn't Lincoln Riley came in like months before USC made their announcement too. So it is interesting that there is sort of that crossover.
I kind of feel like maybe they like knew they knew before the public did, but I don't think coaches generally get that much input on this.
No,
surely not Dion here.
And they're not taking jobs on contingencies like that. Right. They're not being like, just in case you guys go to the Big 12, I'll be your coach now in the Pac-12. He's like, no one's basing their careers on this stuff.
Right. I'm sure Lincoln Riley was told USC was going to the Big 10, and I don't think
that it's in play. And he's like, you either Pac-12 or your Big 10.
It's like, there's going to be, here's how much more money we'll get the first.
Yes, the upside. 10. You're playing the upside.
But, So, but it is. Yeah, it's the second sort of big hire to the conference, and then
an exodus. But what I think, I want to just wrap up my point real quick on like what I think this means about the Pac-12 and its future. I think that this is a bigger wrench than most people are willing to admit, and I agree that like, for one, the Pacific Athletic Conference having a team in Denver makes like zero logistical sense. And there was kind of the first moment I realized like, okay, conferences aren't really geographical.
None of this, geographics aren't being considered.
And at that point I was like you think of it like, oh yeah, Denver, that's kind of by the West Coast. But then you actually look on a map and you're like, Denver is pretty much equidistant to the East Coast from San Francisco. So it's really not at West Coast, maybe by like, I don't know, 3,000 miles, it would be considered west of United States.
It's closer to Minneapolis than it is Oregon State.
Yeah. So I'm like, I mean, it was always a strange fit. It always felt like a rushed fit. It was a good fit.
Yeah.
I think it worked fine. And I was excited to see where the future held with them in the pack. With them leaving the pack on top of SC and UCLA, for what I feel like is a lesser conference, even though it is their prior home, I think that throws a big wrench in everything that the Pac-12 has done as a conference done up to this point. And what Georgia's been putting out there potentially or not, or been trying to put out there, or collect or understand about a media deal and numbers and blah, blah, blah. Everyone's all over Twitter talking about this stuff. whether he's got something solid, whether he's got something rough, whether he's giving out numbers, whether he hasn't, I think most of that's out the window because like you said, Terry, about capturing markets, which is the stupidest thing to say, especially
I just remember being sold that as a 19-year-old. That like,
capturing
no,
like the Portland market. No offense, I love Portland. Means nothing. Capturing the LA market, capturing the New York market, capturing the Dallas market, Chicago market. That is something. But like
even college athletics,
Denver market means nothing. But it does to the networks because they want to have a foothold somewhere.
Sure, but that doesn't. It's still not the coup that like they sell it. It's like, oh, now all of the eyes of Denver will be able to watch like Oregon State. It's like those people who live there are still going to watch the teams that they watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially
but the networks
right now.
don't
so like
care about that because they sell the advertisers. Yeah, well, share this with any households. Period.
If San Diego State were to have come, it would have been a nice ad. We were all excited about going to a November football game in San Diego. And that was the reason to be excited about the Aztecs coming. Also, it being a good basketball school who just made it to the national championship game. But it's not like, oh, look at this TV market. Like all these, to quote Ron Burgundy, San Diegans are going to be watching Oregon State versus Washington State on the Palouse. Like those people don't automatically just care.
No,
all of a sudden.
But advertisers are all about potential impressions, and it's all about eyeballs.
Sure, and that aspect of it matters, but it's not like this. And I'm preparing everyone for this too. For like when SMU and Tulane end up being the two people we add, and George gets on a podium and says, "We have now captured Dallas and New Orleans."
Yeah.
Don't get all high and mighty about the Pac-12 owning Dallas and New Orleans. Both other great places I'd love to go to a football game in November. New Orleans is my favorite city in the world. But just remind yourself that these people are forced to try and sell you their shitty deals in other ways and whatever. Yeah, they're gonna be like, we traded Boulder for Dallas, and they're gonna be like, look at how many more people live in Dallas. Where it's like,
how many more
a school
potential
left
people
because you
might
weren't
see your
fucking organized
advertising.
at all, which is a bigger problem.
That's the bigger problem, and the PR around all of this has been dreadful. The conference has handled this in the absolute worst way. The statement after statement after statement has like just run its course, and it feels like they're buying time. I hope that's not the case. I don't really believe it's the case. I just feel like this is just bad PR and bad business. But just back to the idea of networks and markets, and really, the networks know they get away with this bullshit. They know they can influence this because the advertisers are stupid and they only look at households. They don't look at like who's interested. Like you're saying, Terry, like who in Dallas gives a damn about Stanford, Oregon State at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night, even if they give it a prime time, West Coast time. Like no one cares in Dallas. You're going to get probably just as many tuning in if SMU is in the conference or not. But the networks can go to advertisers and say, hey, dumbass, like we've got this many households and we've got a primetime slot of this kind of tier 1 football game. So you're probably going to want to advertise at this price point. And advertisers don't care because they're corporate. This is just all corporate bullshit. And it's trickling into college athletics so much that it's blinding fans into believing that having regions or cities or zip codes is important when it doesn't matter at all, because half the people who went to Oregon State still live in the state of Oregon and they watch Oregon State. The other half are up and down the West Coast or elsewhere in the United States, and guess what?
Or in Minneapolis.
And they're the ones watching from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So you're not going to get more people just because, we joined the Big Ten. Like, that's not all of a sudden going to change.
You'll get this guy. Come on, Big Ten, do the right thing.
There's not two of you, though.
There could be two of us. I get it, and like that's why I don't know, Betty, you say things because
I think that this is a bigger problem than it sounds like you guys might. I think what number one Colorado leaving does is it shows that there's either two things going on, right? So number one, Colorado heard the number of the deal and they bolted because it wasn't good. That's a really bad sign. Or number two, Colorado bolted before a deal is done, and now there's negotiations going on with these
renegotiations,
Apple or Amazon or ESPN, or a combination of all of them, where they're going to look at us and go, okay, that shitty number that you guys didn't want to take, we're going to go even lower than that, because now the conference is shown as being weak.
So my shitty Denver comment aside, nothing. Love Denver, like that market doesn't matter, but it is timing is terrible, because even if you're negotiating a short-term deal, losing Dion for those 3 years, like that's not the main ship that would drive a media rights deal, but it doesn't hurt, and now it hurts.
I don't think
you just look disorganized.
And I think that's the bigger problem is I think that this falls number one on Larry Scott, because doing the last media contract with the Pac-12 network and all, like, that was really what feels like now could have been the death blow to the conference.
Well,
Larry
distribution
Scott
was the worst part.
one.
Actually, the idea of having a network, you got to hand to him, because that was actually a smart move, and going digital as well as a companion to the network was the right move. But being selfish and greedy about who's going to distribute that channel was the nail in the coffin.
Okay, that's a good call. But I think Kliavkoff had one job when he knew that USC and UCLA were leaving, and that was to expand. I mean, like, you had to, right? Because if you didn't, you knew the Big 12 were looking to expand aggressively. And when you didn't expand and show strength, then you have this happen. And it feels to me like Colorado is sort of that last part of the erosion that could cause the whole mountain to come down. Because there were rumors of Arizona State, Utah talking to the Big 12. And now if I'm one of those schools and I was sort of on the fence, I mean, shit, like if Oregon State, I saw someone, I don't know if they're reputable or not, but suggests that there are rumors of Oregon State talking to the Big 12.
Multiple.
Well, if I'm Oregon State, I'm bolting right now. Seriously, like I would.
A question that I had for both of you was, say tomorrow morning they say Oregon State's to the Big 12, no Washington, no Oregon, no Washington State, just Oregon State. What is your reaction?
I would do it.
And mine kind of is, I'd have some sadness, because I think that would ultimately mean the 4 Northwest schools aren't headed the same place, and that's pretty much, that is what I wanted. Even though I think Oregon and Washington have their sights set on the Big Ten. And maybe they both end up there. I think Washington has a better chance. The Big Ten does not want to fuck you, Oregon. That's a different story. But at this point, I just think this possibility that the Pac-12 has anything remotely close to a plan or anything in place feels like a pipe dream. And I feel I'm like, we're all in our mid-30s now. We shouldn't be this fucking naive. And anytime I'm like, catch myself thinking like, well, the media rights deal could be good, I'm like, bro, check yourself. You've seen this movie before, and they said they were gonna release the details of this movie in fucking March, and they haven't said anything other than I know Oregon State was getting clowned for Murphy and Barnes both releasing a statement in support of the Pac-12, which, I mean, they didn't really need to release it, but it's also just kind of like, you're gonna support the entity that's paying your bills. I get it. I don't think they really need to be clowned for it. But yeah, I think put us in the Big 12. It's like, I don't know what that would totally mean for the future, but I'd already be looking at my tickets for 2025 Oregon State basketball at Fog Allen Fieldhouse and Oregon State. I'm already, Minneapolis to Ames. That's not that long of a drive, baby.
You don't want to be the last school left holding the bag,
of course, and
and that's.
All of us Oregon State fans can admit we don't have a ton of leverage. We are not the crown jewel that other conferences are like eyeballing. The Big Ten's not like, doesn't have like like some like old World War II movie where they have the maps and then like on the tables with the like figurines and shit. There's not like a bunch of Big Ten logos like circled around Corvallis ready to make their invasion to capture Corvallis. They should, as it is the Paris of the Pacific Northwest, and we are back for episode 101, baby. But still, we can be realistic about it. That's not we're not the trade ship that other schools in the conference are in terms of budget, in terms of money, in terms of publicity,
Eyeballs.
Yeah.
or in terms of eyeballs. And
That's
we
what it
just want to go
matters.
somewhere. So if you tell me tomorrow morning Oregon State just signed like an X-year deal with the Big 12, I'd be like, well, like end of an era, but
End of
You
the
gotta do what you
massive
gotta
era.
do.
what are you gonna do?
Watch
What are
out
you
for
gonna do?
number one.
I know that we will be a football. I would know who we're playing, and I would know what channel the game will be on. And
I would be
that is all I want to know.
I'd be so torn though if Oregon State. I mean, not in a bad way. I'd be distraught knowing that like one of the founding members of the Pacific Coast Conference left, and now we're in a conference where we have no history, no tradition, where all of our road games are pretty much out of reach for most average Oregon State fans residing in the state of Oregon. And every single game now for every sport is varying in its start times, because I know like, there's still like, especially football, you get like a early kick or, late kicks, evening kicks, etc. But like you have expectation that most of your games are trying to be played at a decent time West Coast. You don't really have that expectation when you start to cross time zones in interconference. So it'd be tough to see. But I agree with you guys that in this circumstance right now, as much as I love the Pac-12, Pac-10, and I've been born and raised Pac-10, it's been something that has felt like my identity as a conference my whole life. If in today's situation, Oregon State was offered an invitation to go and make a lateral jump to the Big 12, I would do it. And I'd be okay with it. Because the only other option, like you guys are saying, without any other leverage, which we don't have, is to drop down in an essential demotion to another conference without naming names. And that kind of demotion, wouldn't just be a like slap in the face for your ego. It would destroy our athletic department. The funding, the programs, the success. Everyone's like, well, if we go to another conference, a lower conference, we'll just dominate. And we'll just go to the CFP because we dominated. You don't just drop down and all of a sudden win and keep it up. We don't know how to operate with the smaller budget because we haven't been doing that comparably. We have, within interconference, sure, or, Power 5, but like we're not operating on like a shoestring budget, which a lot of these other conferences are, and we will have to if we drop down, and we won't be ready for that. We would be
why we've been so good at keeping Jonathan
programs.
Smith's assistants in place. Yeah,
we would be losing athletic
all that stuff.
directors. I mean, everything would be gone.
Jonathan Smith would be gone.
Everything
in a
would
heartbeat.
be gone.
Yeah,
what you love about Oregon State athletics right now will be gone if we go into a lesser conference.
And you're left with a huge mortgage for a brand new side of the stadium that you were anticipating a certain amount of revenue coming in that now you don't have.
Yep.
And so to your point, Jay, like you almost have to at this point, and maybe I'm being a sensationalist here, but I don't think so. I think at this point, Oregon State has to be proactive and has to be aggressive, and they have to be on the phone with the Big 12. Because
well, what do you guys think of their statement?
I don't really think there's anything to be. I don't even think you can read between the lines. I think they had that statement ready to go for typical PR nothingness.
Well, okay.
What was the statement?
So President
Murphy and Scott Barnes reaffirming their support and belief in the Pac-12.
But they were the only remaining Pac-12 school to put out a statement.
Right.
Think about it this way.
That detail to it's somewhat concerning, but also I hope it's nothing.
Think about it this way, though. If you're Utah or Arizona State or Arizona or Washington State or Oregon, and with the exception of Washington State, all those schools probably are getting more of a sniff from these other conferences than what us in Washington State are. And those schools are probably thinking the same thing. Like, I can't be the last one left holding the bag.
See,
which
I don't
makes
think
me
Stanford
feel
and Cal
like
feel that way, though.
I don't think that they do either, but I don't think that Stanford would have a problem going independent.
Sure, if their conference failed, they were like one of the first to join the conference. So.
But what I'm saying is that Oregon State has, I mean, Stanford can survive being an independent. All the other schools will go into conferences.
Will be fine.
Yeah, and so that's where it's like Oregon State and Washington State are in the least amount of leverage, because Colorado leaving the Pac-12 for all the reasons you guys said, it doesn't move the needle one way or another, but that gives all of the leverage back to the media.
I do think us and Wazoo need to work together to an extent to be like, yes, we are in the same boat. Us and Wazoo are. Within 8 seconds of the USC UCLA announcement happening last summer, Washington and Oregon applied to join the Big Ten together, like a fucking 17-year-old applying to college. Yeah. So have your loyalty, have your belief in George or the conference if you want to, but there needs to be some connection between Corvallis and Pullman that's happening behind closed doors. That's like, we need to look out for each other here. And I kind of knew this is what this segment was going to turn into, because it's the first time we're talking about realignment conspiracy theories in 6 weeks. And I don't know what the presidents collectively of Oregon State and Washington State University have, or how much leverage there really is to stand on. But if the two of us are a package deal, that could make it more attractive either to other conferences. It's a little bit more sustainable. Two great fan bases, two places with great culture already. And if you're the Big 12 and you're going, so if the Big 12 example specifically, you probably don't want to acquire just one Northwest school. Having two Northwest schools, it plants your multiple flags there. For things like non-football, you can build those into the same road trips, so it can make the travel for other sports a bit more convenient. You're similar markets. It makes all kinds of sense once you have at least two flags in that part of the country, so that it's not just like, oh, and then like we're sending TCU softball to Corvallis, like whatever. It's still not what USC and UCLA are doing to their teams, going to New Brunswick, New Jersey, all for the benefit of student athletes. Is that right, Big Ten? But it would make
Oregon
sense.
State would be going to Southern Florida.
Yeah.
Central.
I don't know that we have like a great answer here, but I think a formal OSU Wazoo alliance would make me happy.
I agree.
And
but let's say this:
what you cannot let happen. Just to be so clear, Oregon State
can't be the last. You can't be the last.
You cannot drop down to
and no disrespect
to
the Mountain West or Group of Five. It's just, if you go from working with a Power 5 budget to a Group of 5 budget all of a sudden, that I don't even think we compete in the Mountain West, right? I think we struggle because those schools, Fresno State knows how to work with that budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Boise State knows how to work with that budget. We don't.
They don't have bills of a Power 5 conference.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we do, and we've been working off of the
Belligerent Beavs studio they built on Beaver Street is nicer than most NFL stadiums.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
So
look, literally the future of the entire athletic program hinges on what's going to happen in the next 12 months.
Wrap this up real quick, because I have a question. I have a question then to wrap it up, and I just want you guys' like quick couple word answer. Where there's been smoke after USC UCLA, especially around Colorado probably the most smoke. It became true on social media, I would say, right? The people talking about they're leaving. There was other Arizona schools, there was Utah, but it always was pretty much Four Corners schools or Colorado as part of the main focus of those kind of discussions on social media. And it came true. And now, quickly thereafter, about the mystery team, also talking to the Big 12 was Oregon State, of all teams, okay? Is that smoke lead to fire? Does that smoke lead to fire, or is it?
Was that
is
just one person that came out and said that?
I've seen multiple different sources saying it online, at least on Twitter. But take it for what it is. But my point is,
if Murthy and Barnes are smart, they're talking to the Big 12.
So
what would
are we ending up at the Big 12 is what I want to ask you. Does that smoke also lead to some fire?
Right.
I think right now, Oregon State has to make a strong pitch, because if you think about it, the market share, not Portland, but the viewers from an Oregon State fan base is not going to raise the bar any higher. It's actually going to bring it down lower, because each part of that media deal is cut evenly to schools, right? And so if you're bringing in less but taking more, that's going to be less appealing to these other schools. And that's number one. But number two, like, what makes Oregon State more appealing to the Big 12 than Arizona or Arizona State or even Utah? Like, that's what I don't understand is, unless there is some, I can't even think what it would be of a pitch from Oregon State that would
don't need full rev share.
This podcast, Betty.
I mean, that would be the thing that makes the
give us 75% rev share.
Yeah,
and we'll give you Belligerent Beavs Podcast.
I just think I think that it's Big 12 or bust, because even if you bring in these other schools, like, if I'm San Diego State, do I really want to fuck around with what's going on in the Pac-12 right now?
That's why
like,
I deep down I really hope that the Pac-12's got something up their sleeve, something amazing, as people have said, like, it's worth waiting for. Like, George has been like, oh, the longer we wait, the better the deal. But like,
that's
not the case. That cannot be the case unless everyone knew that Colorado was leaving before.
I have seen I have seen rumblings about that that Pac-12 was waiting for Colorado to leave. That George,
but why would that make it? That makes it worse.
No, because it's you then end up grabbing like an SMU, or you end up grabbing an SDSU. And
why wouldn't you have done that before Colorado?
Because
left?
You have an equal share of revenue.
Colorado was the domino that was holding it up, because Colorado probably didn't want equal share, because Colorado knows that at least for this year and probably 2 more years, they're bringing a lot more eyeballs than 9/10 of the rest of the conference.
But long term, you had SDSU, you had a Southern Cal,
Colorado
or Dallas.
Was like, no, why the fuck would we sign this 10-year deal that gives us
even a 5-year deal,
revenue sharing, 5-year deal?
No
way,
Deion's still coaching there in 5 years
with Oregon. Of course not. But why would we sign this and agree to equal revenue with OSU and Wazoo when we're?
I don't think that's
university president logic, though. That's what these powerful assholes in charge are like thinking. So like I could,
but like Colorado's not the first school that has a ton of hype.
They're not
right.
But let's be as naive and positive and fans of George for a second. And I could see where JP's coming from. I would expect that second domino would have dropped by now, because it's been 3.5 days since it's been announced that Colorado's leaving.
Yeah.
But if you had a deal in place, or not a deal in place, but you had, say, a sexy proposal that all of the remaining schools are fine on, but Colorado's new president and new athletic director are feeling some type of power because Deion Sanders happened to choose you, I could see how that could be all right, go fuck yourselves, Colorado. And then now it's okay, let's shape it out a little bit more and see who we can bring in between SMU, SDSU, Tulane, BYU, fucking whoever. But this is us. I'm saying this is being naive and overly optimistic, but it's also not out of the realm of possibility that the new brass at Colorado had the fucking balls to think they're bigger than they are because Deion Sanders happens to coach there and weren't playing ball with the rest of the conference to agree with like a revenue sharing thing, because they want to cash in on their golden chip that is Deion. And they as naive as they probably are, they know that they don't have him for more than 3 years, probably.
Yeah.
So they want to get as much money as they can right now, and there's an opportunity to leave, and they can sell this as like, oh, Big 12 was always our conference anyway. We're going home. Blah.
Well, let me
blah,
ask you this.
blah.
Let me ask you this. So Colorado is leaving a conference that has 9 members. Well, I guess
Now.
10 when they were there, right?
Yeah.
So they had 10 members, and they're joining the Big 12, which now has 14. They'll be the 15th member. So they're getting less of a percentage of a media deal that should be smaller than what the Pac-12 is. So they're giving money away if that's the case. And that's why I don't think that this Pac-12 deal is worth shit. Or George Cleo. And I get that you're being naive and optimistic and taking that stance, but I'm just saying, like, logistically, that doesn't make sense.
And the part that scared me was the university also pointing out that stability was a big factor in their move.
I mean, when we all started this conversation, we're like, I don't see how this is good. I don't see how this is good. But there is a chance that the 9 remaining schools have someone powerful in mind as the partner. Like I don't mean other conferences. I mean like Apple, Amazon, ESPN, whomever. And
ain't no way ESPN's grabbing anything right now.
ESPN, no. I disagree, because that Pac-12 After Dark does score well on ESPN, and I do think they want to protect that slot, because no matter what happens, that's the only college football that's happening, and people do watch that regardless of the perception of the conference, accurately or inaccurately. People tune into those games.
Have you seen the ratings since 2006? Is it 2006 or 16, whatever it was, where that guy removed USC, UCLA from every game in the Pac-12 across different networks, and then totaled up the viewership through the conference? So it showed for ESPN that like Oregon led the way for the Pac-10, including Colorado, on ESPN viewership, with an average like 3.4 million viewers on every game on ESPN. You know, second,
Oregon State
with 3.3 million viewers.
Here's another just tinfoil hat thought. The Big 12 could be going after Oregon State because the Big 12 has a deal with ESPN. So ESPN might be like, we want that X conference
West
after
Coast.
dark.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Arizona doesn't check that box. Utah doesn't check that box, but Oregon State and Washington State.
And then there's no way Stanford or Cal are going Big 12. I'm sorry. You can mark my words.
No.
Yeah,
mark my words.
Stanford and Cal are fine.
Stanford doesn't care what conference they're in. Cal doesn't even know they are in an athletic conference. Yeah. So they don't care. And Oregon and UW are too focused on trying to get with Fox and be in the Big Ten. Yeah. Like you said, though, we should partner up with Wazoo, do what we can, be a tandem deal. Right. I saw a couple today riding down my street. This is totally off topic, but still on topic. And they were in full cycling gear. I mean, like decked out. And I saw them coming towards me.
I've seen that a lot lately.
And I'm like, yeah, look at those two cyclists. And as I pulled up close to them in the car, I realized they're on a tandem bike. And I was like, that is a power couple move. You get in full cycling gear to tandem bike down a residential street. Good on you. That is us in Wazoo. We should be tandem biking in full cyclist outfits.
You can say hi to Betty and I when we're tandem biking through your neighborhood.
So, okay, let me ask you guys a question and answer this in like 30 seconds or less. What does the Pac-12 have to do in order to stay a conference?
Announce a media deal, for the love of God.
Media deal with 1 to 3 more members, and it needs to be creative and
just announce a media deal.
Any media deal. I think something that's like between ESPN and Apple or whatever. And I think conferences should have been doing this for a long time. I don't know. I'm sure there's more.
Biking.
Tandem bike is a new revenue sport. I'm sure there's things that say they can't do it, whatever. But I think there should be one live game per Saturday of college football on an NFL network. NFL network is not showing shit on Saturdays, but is basically baked into every single sports cable package. People are coming back to cable. It's basically included in every streaming sports package. NFL Network is a low-key good network to.
That's a good point.
I'm not saying Pac-12 NFL network would save the conference. I'm saying there needs to for 13 months now we've been talking about possibilities, and there's not one thing the conference can do to replace the money that is outgoing with USC and UCLA. But you need to think forward. You need to be creative. You need to be proactive. And I think that if they were like, I think there's going to be a long list of people and networks that are part of this media rights deal. I think Pac-12 After Dark on ESPN is here to stay. I'm guessing there'll be a streaming thing. I'm guessing there'll be some Pac-12 network shit. And I'm guessing one other and there'll be a weekly game on CBS Sports Network that some people have. And that will be the epic fucking Oregon State Fresno State game that happens each year or whatever. But call Roger. You think NFL Network would be opposed to putting live college football on its network on Saturday? The league that's more obsessed with money than any other organization on earth.
Just align with the people who have deep pockets.
Aligned?
That is life. Is that not life?
Which there is a lot of on the West Coast.
The SEC and the Big Ten are evil empires right now. They are nothing compared to the evil empire that is the National Football League. That is the Death Star, but it's the Death Star without that tiny hole that blows up if you shoot a proton torpedo.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Words.
There's no wedge to fly through for 2 miles to blow it up. It's indestructible. Partner with the NFL. That's nowhere in my notes. I hadn't thought about it until
Do it now.
2.5 crank and foamers deep rant. Roger Goodell, come on the pod, retweet the link to the pod, and then sign the deal. Pac-12 NFL Super Bowl. We don't even know the Rose Bowl
30 seconds.
We know the Rose Bowl.
That was
Pac-FL.
It was 32 seconds. One for every NFL team there is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at Apple because it would be interesting to see how many people Messi brought on to subscribe to Apple.
They went crazy with that. Actually, I subscribed.
I
subscribed to the
too.
MLS package.
JP Bertram bought the Major League Soccer package. That is the biggest endorsement that you can possibly get. This isn't hard. This isn't hard. I know we say chess, not checkers, but this is checkers, bitch.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not that
complicated.
Yeah, make it easy. Serve it easily. Serve it at a good price point. Serve it on a exciting medium, and a form factor. Or multiple form factors that people
and involve gambling.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Soon.
Involve gambling. I did not plan on yelling this much on our ceremonial return episode. That was supposed to just be fun and chill.
like 13 months ago, I literally was like, SDSU,
13 months ago, you were in the middle of the woods and couldn't join the emergency episode. You're off the grid.
That's right. What happened?
Exactly 13 months. That was June 30th, 2022.
And Colorado leaves when I'm in the hospital.
Oh, this conference
always stay home.
Yeah.
Never leave.
Never leave. Yeah. Or maybe I should just always leave because all the fun shit kind of happens when I'm not home.
Yeah.
Go
to Binks right now.
It's real fun.
No. Speaking of fun, we should wrap it up with some fun shit like on the diamond. Did you guys see the
yes
the Doors,
the Beaver Boyz,
the Beaver Boyz with a Z? Somebody, I think it might have been Andre, tweeted at the Falmouth Commodores social media account and told them upon one of their first few tweets about calling them the Beaver Boyz, that in Corvallis we spell boys with a Z. They didn't acknowledge anything as far as I've been able to find. But the next day they talked about the Beaver Boyz with a graphic with a Z. So, shout out the Falmouth Commodores social media team.
The Doors.
What
do they call themselves?
The Doors.
Yeah, the commas. No.
Go commies.
Go commas.
Oh, don't yell that. We already have enough enemies on this shit.
But man, I am maybe more blown away than I have been through a summer league update in a long time, not just because of the performance of Gavin Turley or Travis Bazzana, but both of them are absolutely destroying pitching. Them coming back next year is gonna make this team like not need a pitcher. That is honestly how well they are seeing and hitting right now. And like, it's absurd. What the other day, Travis went like 6 for 7 with 2 home runs in a game.
Would you say?
Damn, 6 for 7? I can't even do that in the show, and I'm on rookie.
Would you say that playing for the Doors, that Travis Bazzana and Gavin Turley light your fire?
Yeah, they're like the Jim Morrison of the team.
JP, please play 5 seconds of "Light My Fire" by the Doors.
Yeah, finally. Was that the first Doors play we had? That's a good one. Good job.
It's long overdue if it is our first one. I fucking love the Doors.
I feel like our intro should be "People Are Strange" because that would
when you're a stranger.
I wanted to go. My favorite Doors song is "Touch Me," but just saying "Touch Me" without context is you're asking for some fire.
I'm an LA woman kind of guy.
Come on now, touch me, baby.
See, don't you need 5 seconds?
I watched School of
Andy
Rock.
Bernard version.
I watched School of Rock recently. Shout out School of Rock, which turns 20 in September. We're gonna have to have a School of Rock episode.
But Terry, you are kind of like an Andy Bernard version of things.
Yeah, I get that a lot actually.
Yeah,
I get that. The first time I got that, I was like, that's kind of accurate. But a lot of people are like, you're kind of Andy Bernardish, and I'm like, oh god. I just didn't go to Cornell. I went to Oregon. I'm the fucking.
I did not go to Cornell. I went to the Harvard
Oregon State
of the Pac-12.
I went to the Harvard of the Pac-12, Harvard of the Pac-9, Harvard
you
of the
fucking hang out with Broccoli Rob on the side. I know you do, Terry.
Harvard of the Northwest, bitch.
Harvard of the Pac-1 when we're the only one left.
Also,
broccoli.
keeping with the
did
diamond.
smoke pot with Broccoli Rob.
Jesus. Is that a strain? No. Okay. So speaking of diamond, yesterday while I was recovering in the bed, I would just lay back and try to find whatever was on sports. I'm the dumbass who gets a vasectomy when there's no sports on TV. Like. It was the day after the MLB All-Star Game, and it was just like 8 straight.
Except for the Women's World Cup at 4 a.m. when you're on all of the drugs.
That was like 2 weeks later. I'm talking about back in July 12th when I had my vasectomy.
Yeah, it's the only day where there's not a professional sports game being played.
All of 8 straight replays of the ESPYs that were already announced on Twitter before it was even broadcasted on the West Coast. So it didn't even matter to watch. There was no host. It was terrible. I watched it 5 times. But I finally have gotten into really digging into the ESPN app. I feel for Big 12 fans. You got to really dig around in there to find that it was ESPN Plus broadcast. But luckily
the ESPN app does suck. I will say that.
I did find yesterday, an Athletes Unlimited softball game. And I go, damn, you know what? I feel like I should see if Mariah is playing. And guess what? Within like 2 innings of me watching, she gets pulled in from the bullpen. She starts pitching. And I'm super jacked that she's out there. But then I realize she's no longer wearing the orange and black. She's now like a baby blue and white team this season. But what was also very cool is there was a lot of like cut scene promo shots. And I saw, the home run queen, Frankie Hammoude, getting some spotlight love on there. So she'll be, she's pro with Athletes Unlimited as well. If you're not watching Athletes Unlimited, it's really actually a great entertaining performance. It's some of the best players of college, these college sports that, especially softball, where there isn't like a true professional league historically, and they're filling that gap. So tune in, check it out. They've got lacrosse, they've got softball, they've got a bunch of different sports, and so it was really fun to watch Mariah pitch. I mean, she was good. She got to pop up in a situation with runners on base, and it's just like it makes you like remember like how lucky we were to watch some of these players play at Oregon State, because a lot of times when these athletes who are stars for us leave Oregon State, like no offense to any of them, but there isn't a whole lot of like spotlight in the professional ranks, especially on TV. So to be able to see them performing on TV was a treat, and I highly recommend it. And so shout out Mariah, shout out Frankie, and keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, do we have any other world problems to solve on this episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast?
I'm gonna go take my oxycodone.
Oh, nice.
That's the most enthusiasm Benny has ever shown. Well, holy shit, you guys. And just like that, we've been talking for an hour and a half. We'll be, I hesitate to say this, we'll be less not focused next time, but just as focused every time.
Wow.
We needed to rant about this Pac-12 shit, but we know Oregon State football is coming up. We got about 4.5 weeks before the Beavs are in action, and 5 weeks exactly. Or is it 6 weeks? Because we start on a Sunday. So September 3rd, 6 weeks or 5 weeks. It doesn't matter. It's happening.
What are those numbers? A number. It's crooked.
A crooked number away from the Beavs kicking off the 2023 season at San Jose State.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Math.
So soon.
It's like 35
Right around
days.
the corner.
JP used the
Shout out DJU, number
he-
5
Woo!
weeks.
the same science in Oppenheimer JP just used to determine
Yep.
the remaining weeks left of the offseason.
Bebeheimer.
5 weeks. 5 weeks. Bebeheimer is happening. That's the title of the episode. Bebeheimer, I think. Is the way to go.
Bebeheimer, yeah.
Bebeheimer.
Bebeheimer, but that seems like Scheimer.
No.
So Bebe.
Because then it'd be Bebeheimer.
Bebeheimer.
All one word. Bebeheimer. And is that just the name of the show now? We have one Oppenheimer reference for in perpetuity. Episode 101. We're here. We're here for our second act, third act. I don't know, but I'm happy to have 100 episodes in the rearview mirror, and now 101, and to make 101 and 1,000,001 more with you guys, my dear friends. The worldwide leader in Beaver, back, but not for the first time, baby. Be sure to follow us everywhere. We're at Belligerent Beavs on Twitter/X, which is not a porno website, but it might be now. I don't know. And we're at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram. We're
on Threads.
Facebook.
Terry, where are you?
We're on Threads. We're on Threads. I'm not personally on Threads yet, but I will be. On Threads
am.
There's
at
a
some
bet.
point. Are you on Threads?
There is a bet on Threads when you'll join.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you probably can't tell me.
No.
Now I kind of want to join to see it, but I don't know if that's better for me or not. Betty said, "Don't more
Betty has so
aggressively."
much money on this. Don't join.
We are on Threads. We are on TikTok. Have we posted a TikTok?
No, but I could do one about my hair.
Okay, do one about your hair.
yeah.
We'll do a come on, braid my hair.
I'll do one and I'll go
Come on, bleach my hair.
boom, and I'll be boom. You know, like shake the camera and then my hair will change. No, I don't know.
Belligerent Beavs
So the kids
on Friendster, on Mastodon, on Foursquare, on Meetup. Belligerent Beavs meetups. They happen on Zoom once a week, really late on Sundays, and only 3 people are invited to them. And give us a follow wherever we are. Me, Terry Horseman, at not on Threads yet, but coming soon, at Terry Horseman on x.com. Find me, Terry Horseman, hell yeah, on OnlyFans. At Terrence Horseman on Instagram. I almost forgot to do the British thing, the dumb British thing that I do. Also on Twitter is my bleached friend JP Bertram. I was trying to remember the bleached asshole thing from that one Kanye song, but whatever, I won't do it. At JP Bertram on Instagram, at the Trill J on Twitter because he's too trill to be real. That's at the _Trill_J because he's too trill to be real. I remembered I do that part after I read the whole characters back to back to back. And Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage, Benny Bullgame, Benny Burner, Benny Blastoff, Benny, give me another
Bedlam.
one. Benny Bedlam. Benny Bedlam because he's fucking crazy, folks. And Benny with the good quaff. baby. He's at Benny L 1986. Are you also Benny L 1986 on Threads?
I don't know.
Yes. Whatever you're on
Yes.
Instagram, you are on Threads. You can't change who you are.
So I would have to be Terrence Horseman on Threads.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So do
You
it
can say
anyway.
twice.
Say it
So
again.
you could you follow? it doesn't.
No,
sound
now it
the
has to be
same way.
Australian.
I don't want to offend our best listener, Gary Bazzana.
Do it.
At Terrence Horseman, which is nice on Threads. Dingo baby at threads.dingo. Foster's nice Threads. I hate this. All right, so if anyone's still listening, please give us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
On Apple, Spotify, or Threads. Can you listen to podcasts on Threads? Probably not yet, but that's probably coming soon. What about Blue? Are we on Blue Sky?
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know.
We're on Blue
Yeah,
Sky?
we are on Blue Sky. We are on Blue Sky. I think it's like
Benny Blue Sky's it's another of the ones.
Benny Blue Sky. You don't know that?
Benny Blue Eyes on Blue Sky. That's Benny's guy.
Yeah, we are belligerent beavs.bsky.social.
What the?
Shout out.
They're
shout
really
out to
not
our,
making it easy.
Shout out to our 4 followers.
Right. Well, this
I don't even know what we're talking about
this
anymore.
episode is fucking done at
.com.
over. But please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Recommend the show to a friend and tell the Colorado fan in your life to go fuck themselves. Even after we spent about 10 minutes saying it's not Colorado fans' fault. We are just kidding.
Joke's on you,
So
Colorado.
tell that fan to go fuck themselves. I'm sure they're going to be really broken up about it. And we will be back for another episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, back all the way through the rest of 2023 for sure. We're taking no breaks for the rest of the year. I just decided that.
No new breaks.
Except for maybe Benny's bachelor party weekend. Or
No, live.
We're
Live.
recording. We're fuck it. We'll do it
On the
live.
strip.
Live from the sports book. I didn't know that you wanted us to reveal where we're going for your bachelor party, but we're clear. We're going to be on the strip in Atlantic City, and thank
Sneaking
you,
into abandoned casino.
dear listener, for listening, and please listen again. Don't hold this episode against us. And until next time, always remember that you can't spell chop 'em without hope. No matter what the Pac-12 does or doesn't do, you can't do it. It's right there, middle of the catchphrase. So, chop 'em
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
and bring back Bernice from her darkness retreat.
And George Kliakoff, please stop making mud pies and eat the fucking receipt.